Alrighty, so my name is Julie, and I'm currently a first year nursing student. I like to watch a lot of videos on YouTube about people who are in nursing school or in medical school to see just how to study on things. And oof, this is awkward. Man, if you don't do this all the time, this is weird. But I'm coming to you in the natch. Pretty natural right now. Took a shower, brushed my hair. I've got some typical acne going on, but we're chilling. So I decided to kind of make some videos because I really enjoy watching other people's videos on this kind of topic. So I figured, why not make my own? So I've been in undergrad for about 2 years. In June of, I guess it would be 2019, I got my undergrad degree as an Associate of Science. That degree at my community college went along with a lot of the prerequisites that were required for my nursing program. So I figured it was a good way to complete a degree and have something to show for my work if I didn't end up getting into a program. It's really competitive to get into nursing programs, but I think it's less competitive than people like to let on because it really is doable for anybody. I got in when I was 19 and I'm 20 now. My birthday's in December, so I just turned 20 in December of 2019, and it's currently February of 2020. So one of my biggest mottos for myself, I would say, would be not to tell yourself no. I think it's really important that as young individuals pursuing our careers, we don't bring down the amount of options that we have available to us that are already somewhat limited. I think it's really important not to tell yourself no, because it kind of seems like other people are trying to tell you no sometimes. And really, as long as you believe in yourself and are motivated towards something, I believe you can accomplish it. So, let's see. I didn't really plan this out, but I figured that this would be a really relatable video that a lot of people could watch. I know that when I was in high school and in my undergrads trying to get into nursing school, it was really important for me to see what other people had done to get into the position I wanted to be in. And at the end of the day, I took more classes than were necessary for getting into the nursing program, but I thought it was important to have a well-rounded experience going into my program. A lot of people, actually all of the people in my program, by the way, I'm in a really small program, there's 8 people, including myself, but they hadn't completed a degree before getting into the program, but they did have some types of medical experience, whereas I didn't have any. So if you're someone who's young and doesn't have a lot of medical experience, I'd recommend looking well-rounded in your undergrad and prerequisite courses. So I always focused on getting really good grades in the courses that I knew were required for the program. Not that I'm a perfect person. I mean, I had C's in some of the courses that were required, a C in one of the courses that was required, but it's possible to get in even if you're not a perfect student. And it's also, I think, about being willing to go to places that are less desirable. So I grew up in California, in the Central Valley, and programs are really, really competitive in my area. And even the area that I moved to in Southern Oregon, there are more competitive programs in my area. I chose to go for a less competitive program, knowing that I had a higher chance of getting in, simply based on the fact that less people would be applying to that program because it's less desirable. Really, it's still desirable. It's a nursing program. You still take the same national licensing exam to get board certified as a nurse nationally. So you take the NCLEX just like anybody else at the end of your program. But it is an ADN program, and it's at a community college that's small in a somewhat rural area. So I think one of the biggest things that I can say is, especially if you're not a top student, in especially if you don't think you can do it, like I did. I didn't think I would be able to get in so quickly, and I had other options lined up, like LPN school, things that definitely cost more money, but I think it's important to maintain your motivation if you are motivated as a young person going into nursing. So, my program's been really rewarding so far. I'm planning on completing my BSN online after I become a registered nurse. You never know how things are going to turn out, but I plan on continuing my education as far as I can, considering that I'm only 20 in this program now, and there's a lot of people in my program who are who I would consider grown adults. They completely support themselves. Many of them have families, and they might not plan on continuing their education afterwards because nursing is a completely livable wage, and it's a lot more than a lot of people make. So there's nothing negative to be said about sticking with being an RN. And really, I haven't gotten into the field, so I don't know how things are going to play out, what I'll fall in love with, what I might not like so much. So I just think it's important to keep your options open, especially if you're a young person entering nursing. There's so many different pathways that can be taken. ER, med-surg, pediatrics, aesthetics even. So really finding something that drives you. And as I've gotten into my clinical rotations, I'm starting to get a feel for what is more towards my liking based on the experiences that I've had in the hospital and in nursing homes. I have to say that I'd recommend nursing to anybody who is driven, is not afraid of hard work, and who values continuing their education. Nursing is a field where you are constantly learning every single day that you are in that clinical environment, and it's been really beneficial for my personal growth, I think. And I think it will continue to do that for myself. I'd recommend with your undergrad courses having a wide array of classes that show that you're a well-rounded student. For me, that included taking classes even like yoga, and speech is often required for a lot of undergrad degrees, and I took multiple math courses and science courses that were not required for getting into my program, but would make me, would let me know if I was interested in the math and science field, because that's a huge part of what you do as a nurse, is being interested in science, how the human body works, medical terminology, math. So for example, with my math courses, the only thing that was required to get into my program was college algebra. That would be considered Math 111 where I live. I ended up also taking trigonometry and statistics, and I think it really improved my math skills as well, which is really important as a nurse. And I really enjoyed taking the fun undergrad courses as well that contributed to my degree, what people would consider elective courses, because it was also something that was interesting personally, not just academically. I've always been interested in math and science and writing, those types of things, microbiology, but they're difficult courses and they take a lot of time, so it's nice to have that offset with something that's really interesting and is intrinsically motivating as a young person to complete those courses. Overall, my college experience, I'm technically a junior in college now, even though, and I'm a junior nursing student, but technically I won't have a bachelor's degree when I graduate after completing 4 years of college. Really, college is about finding what works for you, I think. I chose to go to a community college because even though I grew up in a fairly affluent family, it was the best financial option for me. I had a lot of friends growing up in California who went to a lot of the major universities like UC Santa Cruz, UCLA, and I think if you have the opportunity to go to those academically rigorous places, that would be really beneficial to your personal growth. But not everyone has the grade, excuse me, not everyone has the grades in high school to get into those competitive type of schools when you're only 17 or 18 years old. And I think that would be the majority of people. The majority of people are not able to get into those places. I think it's really important to have motivation to still continue on with your career path. I remember I doubted myself so much, thinking that I could not become a nurse, that this career path wasn't going to be accessible to me. When in reality, it took hard work and definitely some determination and drive towards what I really wanted to get there, but it was completely doable. So never tell yourself that you can't get what you want out of life, especially academically, because there really are so many different pathways to achieving your academic goals and your career goals through different types of colleges, private universities. For some people, it's really worth taking on the debt of private, more well-known universities in order to have that name behind their own. And I do think that there is a lot of credibility in programs and colleges that run by a really rigorous standard, because there always needs to be an MIT. There always needs to be a Stanford and a Harvard. Stanford and a Harvard. Wow, I sound dumb. But I think they set a top notch for academic standards for individuals striving in academia. But I think it's important not to discourage yourself from continuing because you might not have been a top student. So in high school, I had taken like Italian for 3 years and had done, I went up to like algebra 2 in math and still took like AP language and arts and government courses because it was still important for me to strive academically. But I definitely doubted myself a lot. Part of that has to do with being young and not knowing what you're capable of. But at the end of the day, give yourself time to grow. I think that my time in community college really allowed me to become more confident in my abilities in tough subjects like writing and math. Things that a lot of people in general struggle with, but that it's important to feel confident in your ability to learn new things. Overall, my undergrad experience was really great. It was something that built my confidence more than anything, and I do get to have a degree to my name because of that. So, also my undergrad degree for 2 years cost half as much as what some years cost at large universities. Now, my degree might not mean as much. I haven't tried to do much with it, but it is in science. It's based in science and math courses. It's focused on writing as well, and there's something to be said for that. Completion is also really important, so if you're planning on attending a community college, try to make sure you're going into something that you're interested in, and try to have a final plan, because really college is expensive regardless of where you go. I would still consider community college an expensive option, but one of the best tips that I always learned was all of your college costs shouldn't exceed what 1 year of your supposed career would make you. So let's say for nursing, I'm planning on making $75,000 a year. Now this varies a lot by where you live, what area you live in, whether you're in a metropolitan area or a rural area, just as cost of living would change based on where you lived. But, I kind of lost my train of thought. I'm going on a tangent. But so let's say my overall college cost was roughly $75,000, which it's not that much. But that would be a reasonable amount to spend, considering that I would be making that much in a year. It's just a rough guideline for estimating whether or not your collegiate experience will be worth the payout. And I'm not a financial advisor, but I think really considering the taking a cost-benefit analysis, looking at whether what I'm doing is going to be paying off in the future, and understanding that when you're going into nursing, it can take years to get into programs simply because of the competitive nature. For example, there's a 4-year college in my area that has a BSN program, really widely well known. It's called OHSU, so the Oregon Health Sciences University, and they have campuses all over Oregon. They're a really well-known university. Their program does cost a lot more. It does take a year longer to complete, but when you're done, you get a BSN from a really well-known university. More funding for training, things like that. But, sorry, I'm getting some messages. Let's just slide this aside. At the end of the day, being willing to go to a community college has, I believe, accelerated my entrance into nursing because it's allowed me to get into a program at 19, whereas I might have been waiting a couple years. Some people wait 3, even 5 years before getting into a nursing program, depending on their grades and how desirable of a candidate they are. So there's a lot of things to consider when you're going into nursing, but number one, don't tell yourself you can't do it, because you're the one who's going to be working towards it every day, or most days, and it has to be something that you're really driven to go for. And I think people who believe they can do it really should. The world needs good nurses, people who are kind and motivated and intelligent, and you really do make a livable wage off that profession, a wage that a lot of people don't make working really hard for a lot of their lives. So it's something to appreciate and be thankful for, the fact that you are even interested in that type of work. Nursing was also very different than I anticipated it being before I had gone in, but it's been different in the best ways possible. I didn't realize how much of an impact we would be able to have on patients' lives, and I'm only a student, and this is only my 2nd clinical rotation and my 2nd term of nursing school. So this is kind of a long-winded video, and I'm debating whether I will actually post this or not, but I have been noticing a lot of nursing videos popping up on the timeline, and I think it's important for future nurses to be sharing our experiences, especially in school, something that's kind of an intimidating part of the process of becoming a nurse. So I hope that this helped some people in many ways to know that even if you're not in the best university and you're in small programs and you're going for ADN, things that a lot of people might not consider desirable going into the profession, that it's still a really valid experience, and there's a reason you still get licensed, because you are going through national standards. So that was a really long-winded video, but I hope some people can gain some confidence and some knowledge from watching this, and I wish that I had more of this when I was going in too. It seems more popping up now that I'm actually in, but I'm sure it's really interesting for people who are trying to get in to watch people who are into programs. So I just wanted to share this, and I hope that this helps someone, and have a great week. Thank you.